Public Radio. I am Jim Browder. She is Marjorie. And we're continuing our second run of interviews with gubernatorial candidates. Here with us in Studio 3 is Jeff McCormick. Jeff is a Boston-based businessman. He's running as an independent. Jeff, it's good to see you again.
Thanks for having me back.
You obviously feel far differently about Charlie Baker's deeds. Do you believe he violated the law, and do you believe he violated knowingly?
Well, the law is you can't do that, period. I mean, I'm in the business. I've been in it my whole career, and it's called the pay-to-play provisions, and you can't do it within a window of time, and he was well within that window of time, much too close. And the law certainly has very good intentions to prevent this kind of thing from happening. I don't know how you can file publicly 33 times that you're an employee and a partner of a firm and then say, well, I'm really not. I'm in a different kind of role. I don't know how you're a chairman of a company and not know where the money came from for a major investment in a portfolio company. Again, this is what we do.
So do you think he's lying? I mean, he would, by definition, you have to think he's lying if you're suggesting what you're suggesting. Do you think he's lying?
Well, I think he's either lying about it or changing the facts with the benefit of hindsight, or quite candidly, just unaware of the laws you have to abide by. And either way, it's extraordinarily sloppy, or you're just trying to massage the facts to suit the circumstances.
You know, what's interesting about this is, I mentioned this to Marjorie, I think yesterday, is that while you've been relentless about this, the guy who's running against him in a Republican primary, which you're not, who fought like crazy to get on that ballot, Mark Fisher, hasn't said a peep. Virtually every email I checked yesterday, virtually every email I've seen from you, with one exception in the past couple of weeks, has been about Charlie Baker. He's running in a Republican primary. You're running as an independent. Why the relentless focus on Baker from your campaign? I mean, the press is covering this story too. Why have you decided to do that?
Well, in fact, we've had a number of things with the sloppiness within what is going on within the state too. So there have been a number. Bridgewater State is a real problem for me. DCF is a real problem. I'm actually working on a solution for the DCF issue because I don't hear anyone talking about a real solution to the problem other than just let's change people around.
What's your solution?
Well, it involves the judiciary and giving them more power to protect children, because I really believe protecting the lives of children has to trump the mandate now, which is, let's keep families
giving
together.
Judges more power.
Giving judges more power, absolutely.
And what would that mean?
Well, in this short window of time, what it means, and there has to be changes in foster care as well. So you've got to immediately get the child out of danger.
Right.
You've got one drug-addicted parent, another parent that has a history of domestic violence. That's a bad recipe. Let's get the kid away. Let's let social workers do what they need to do. Let's let judges protect children, and then we'll reunite the family as appropriate.
But one thing about that, though, is I'm sure you know, and we're talking with Jeff McCormick, who's running as an independent for governor, is that kids end up doing much better if they're not sent off to complete strangers. They do better if they go to the aunt and uncle, who maybe aren't perfect, but they've got they're not actively drug addicted at the time. I mean, you're not saying we should go against that longstanding policy of putting kids with kin first if they can.
Oh, absolutely. And judges are perfectly capable of deciding that once they understand the facts and circumstances. I agree with what you just said.
But much of the criticism, by the way, staying on Marjorie's point, Jeff McCormick, much of the criticism of those placements has been, well, wait a second, Jane Doe has a history of drugs. Jane Doe has a felony conviction. And then we find out Jane Doe may have both those things and might be criticized by you, as per your comment a minute ago. But it turns out Jane Doe, as Marjorie said, is the aunt. So how do you do a Solomonic thing there, and decide what is best for the kid? Because the public outcry is those people shouldn't have those kids either.
Well, in fact, as social workers review this, they do follow the chain of responsibility, and they will look at the next one. They're not going to automatically just say, great, go to your aunts. and not do a background check on the aunt because she could be in the same situation.
Let's stay on
You're
DCF
right.
just for a second. Marjorie Egan is quoted, I'd say, 17,000 times the judge in a DCF lawsuit.
yes.
What did Judge Young conclude? And then I'll tell you why I'm broaching this.
He concluded that the big problem with the Department of Children and Families and before the Department of Social Services is they don't have any money. It's I've been around for a long time. They had an overwhelming caseload back in 1980. They had an overwhelming caseload in 1990, 2000, 2012. You want to cut the state income tax down to 5%, and which means that which is lower than what it is now, which means that's less money that the state has to operate with. I mean, I look at my state income taxes. All my money is not going to the state; it's going to the federal government. So why is that a good idea when agencies like DCF and a lot of other places, prosecutors is another example. You talked about this in your show, making $37,000
Lowest paid assistant district
year.
attorneys in the United States.
You know, we have a lot of broke agencies in Massachusetts.
Well, first of all, I've never said I want to go in and cut income taxes right away. What I've said is over time, someone asked me a question, do I believe we could get the income tax down to 5%? And I said, over time, I actually believe we can by running things more efficiently.
Yep.
In the case of DCF, not only do I think they're understaffed, talk about an area that needs to get into the modern day in technology. They are so far behind in technology. They're not doing things I did in companies 20 years ago. So it's that far behind.
Yeah.
They've got to come into the 21st century. I want to be the 21st century governor. I know how technologies are used, and technology, as you know, is a much, much bigger issue than just DCF, with some of the legacy systems we have. So we have to modernize. And then once you do that, you not only get better outcomes, but you actually save money.
How humbling is it? I don't mean humbling like I love talking to the people of the
Yeah.
How humbling is it to be a big shot who calls the shots, who's a leader, as you've been in the business community? And I mean that it as a compliment. I don't mean it as in a pejorative way. And all of a sudden, be like a rookie, but you are.
Fair enough.
And I don't mean that as a pejorative either. You're the new kid in town. Shira Springer, who was just here, said she introduced herself to you before. And I'll get it slightly wrong, but she said, and you said, I'm running for governor. And what did she say? Who are you or something?
Yeah.
And she's a pretty smart woman.
Yeah.
Well, how is that for you as a human? How do you handle that? By the way, he's got a big smile on his face.
Well,
I should say, for who are not watching
it's
on
like,
radio.
It's like taking an ex-lacrosse player and saying, go lace it up with a Bruin. It's like,
and you are an ex-lacrosse player. But is it hard? Is it hard
well,
when you meet people and you say to yourself, "I am"?
Jim,
obviously,
it's not
you have
as
to believe.
hard as for everybody else as it might be for you.
No, I'm serious.
Saying you're
When
obsessing over this here.
You obviously believe you're the most capable person to be the next governor. You wouldn't be running.
Absolutely.
But how hard is it to deal with that part of campaigning? It's got to be hard, isn't it?
Well, first of all, I like people, so that's helpful. And you have to remember what I do. I'm not a king. I'm just a person working with very small businesses that no one's ever heard of. No one ever heard of Boston Duck Tours in '94. No one ever heard of Constant Contact in 1998. Nobody. You could not be successful with those companies. You couldn't be successful with Twin
that
Rivers.
Boston Duck Tour is never going to go anywhere.
It's
Come on,
never-
Jeff. It's going to be a
12,000
disaster.
pound vehicles rolling up Newbury Street. You're an idiot.
It's
right?
great fun.
Yeah, so my whole life is championing these little tiny companies that can make a difference. Free markets. It's the biggest business-to-business e-commerce engine on the internet. Things like that. It's always humbling. And by the way, you're negotiating with Fortune 500 companies all the time. So you're constantly the bug on the windshield. But eventually you grow, and people get it. And the next thing you know, you've got 90% of the Fortune 500 companies using your company software. So that's, to me, I've experienced that so many times. It's not hard to go up to someone and say, hi, I'm Jeff McCormick. If I have to come in this room and say, hi, I'm Jeff McCormick, and you guys are like, oh, yeah,
We knew who you were, Jeff
No, if
McCormick.
Marjorie forgets, I'll just say he was the bug on the windshield.
Yeah, the bug on the windshield.
Jeff,
Okay.
it's great to see you.
Okay, thank you so much for coming in, Jeff McCormick. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of ads from Jeff McCormick pretty soon, the next few months, too. Jeff McCormick is a Boston-based businessman. He is running for governor as an independent. Up next, are you ready to enter a cashless society? Does it mean giving